Instructions for Work Together 12-1. It says information taken from the employee time cards is provided. Your instructor will guide you through the following example. For each employee, calculate the amount of regular, overtime, and total earnings. Overtime hours are paid at 1.5 times the regular rate. So we don't really need much for our instructions for this one. But basically, we have a table set up here, and I want to note that employees are listed here by employee number, not necessarily by employee name, because oftentimes it's easier to work with numbers for sorting instead of by names. And then we can see here we have a number of regular hours worked, we have overtime hours worked, and we have regular rates. When you think about it, we talked here about Devin and Chris. They work at the same business, but each one of them is going to be earning a different amount of money. So when you calculate payroll, it is a lot of detail work figuring out who that person is, how many hours, and what do they get paid. And it varies for each person that you employ. So it takes a lot of detailed work. So when you take a look at employee number 1, we have that person is working 40 hours and they get paid at $9 an hour. So I'm going to take 40 times 9, and where's that going to go? Into regular earnings, okay? So I'm going to put 360 here. Now, calculating overtime earnings. The first thing that I need to do is I need to calculate my overtime rate. How do I calculate my overtime rate?
1.5 times the regular rate.
Okay, so for employee number 1, they get paid $9 an hour. So I'm going to take 9 and I'm going to multiply that by 1.5. So that means employee number 1 makes how much an hour when they work overtime? $13.50 an hour for overtime. Okay, I have to calculate their rate first, and then once I have their rate, I'm going to multiply it by the number of hours that they worked for overtime. So employee number 1 works 5 hours of overtime. So when I multiply that by 5, I'm going to get overtime earnings of $67.50. How am I going to calculate my total earnings? Add the two together. So I'm going to add $67.50 plus $360, which is going to give me $427.50. Do the same thing for employee number 2. Employee number 2 works 40 hours at $12.50. Earns $500. Now, employee number 2 must have been there for a long time because they make $12.50 an hour, so their overtime rate, pretty nice, huh? $18.75 an hour. And take that times 3, $56.25. Now, taking a look at how long did it take us to calculate this for just 4 employees? Not too long, but now think about most businesses. Will most businesses just have 4 employees? Okay. Here at the school district, we have one person. Their full-time job is to do payroll for us. That is all they do. It's a large business, though. Okay. Every 2 weeks, payroll needs to be done. So what happens if that person wants to go on vacation?
Find a replacement.
Right? Like, think about it. People aren't going to say, oh, the payroll person's on vacation. That's okay. I don't need to be paid. That's not going to happen. Now, my question for you is, the other day when my son was sick, do I still get paid or not? If it's a paid sick day, right? Now, do some of your parents or people you know, do they get Vacation. Yes. Okay. I do not get vacation. Okay. I don't have the summer off. I work all summer, except for July. But so let's say that your parents get vacation. So they get certain number of hours or days of vacation. Would you agree? And the point of vacation is they get paid. So even if they are not at work for that week, they're still going to get paid. So that employee that does payroll needs to know that this is going to be paid vacation time. So when we go through to track things, we need to be aware of that this could be vacation time that they're working. Or maybe in the afternoon they have to leave for a medical appointment. They could actually take some paid time off, PTO. That's oftentimes what is called paid time off, to go deal with their appointments. So even though they're not physically working, they could take a half a vacation day or a whole vacation day here and there. They don't have to take it all at one time. Maybe they want to go snowmobiling on the weekend and they just take a long weekend. Okay? Do I do that? No, I have not taken a day off to go snowmobiling. That could be a problem. I did go snowmobiling last weekend, though. No, not too bad. And ago. Now, the other thing I want to show you, you're not going to see this until tomorrow, though, but this is going to throw you. Application number 1 looks completely different than the work together and on your own. Okay, but you're going to work on this tomorrow in class when it finally loads. What is this? Time cards. Okay, so this is application number 1 that you're going to be doing tomorrow in class. You don't have to do it as homework. I talked for a long time introing the chapter, but tomorrow you have work time. What you need to do is you need to look at this time card, and this time card is for employee number 14 or Marie Kearns, okay? And the date is April 15th. And we have morning and we have afternoon, and basically this is very similar to what Chris does. When he shows up for work, he puts a card in and it punches the time. So we can see on this day right here, Marie was in the morning at 7:57 and went to lunch at 12:03. So this person does not get a paid lunch. They get time off for lunch. So when I take a look at 7:57, what am I going to do for this? We're going to round this to 8. So we're going to count in the morning from 8 till 12. So we're going to do 9, 10, 11, 12. So how many hours did they work in the morning? 4, okay? Off for lunch, came back in at 12:57. What am I going to round that to? 1 o'clock to 5:01. So we're going to do from 1 till 5. So we're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many hours in the afternoon? 4. So we have 4 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. So how many regular hours of earning do we have to have? It's 8. So I would put right here for 8. Now, on this date, did Marie work any overtime? No, because for this example, they get paid overtime if they work more than 8 hours a day. Okay, that's why I said sometimes we have to vary whether or not it's 40 hours a week or 8 hours a day. And up there in the directions, way up on top, it tells me, please leave cell blank to indicate 0 hours. So do I need to put a 0 here for overtime? No. But let's take a look at this one here. This for overtime, on this Thursday, she worked from 5:58, which I'm going to round to what? 6 to 7:32, and I'm going to round 7:32 to 7:30. So I'm going to work from 6 to 7:30. So how much overtime is that? 1.5. Okay? So I would put in here 1.5, for example. Now, the very bottom portion of this assignment, what I need to do is I'm going to go through and fill this out. Now, let me tell you, if you make a mistake up here, it's going to be a mistake down here, which is going to be a mistake here. It's going to carry forward. One small mistake can cost you 40 points. Okay? I would go through, once I have this time card done for Marie, I would go through and add up the total amount of regular hours. The total amount of regular hours is going to go right here. How much does Marie get paid an hour? $11.80. So I'm going to take however many hours she works, times 1180, and that's going to give me her regular earnings. I'm going to do the same thing for overtime, and I'm going to add up all the overtime hours. And I'm going to put that number here. Maybe it's 7, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 0. Notice here rate. The rate is left blank. How do I calculate the rate? You guys want to do this already without me explaining it? You're going to have a hard time. I'm not here tomorrow.
Times the rate.
So I'm going to take 1180 times 1.5, and the rate is going to go here. You need to plug this in. We didn't need to do that on the first assignment. And then I'm going to multiply across. So this is my regular earnings, my overtime earnings, and right here is going to be my total earnings by adding down. This is going to be my total hours by adding down. So there are lots of little steps that you have to do for application number 1, and I believe it might be over 40 points. I think it's very easily over 40 points. So again, tomorrow in class, you are going to have this available for you. When you get done with that, you need to start working on your outline. I have changed how I'm doing outlines. Basically, each section of the outline is going to be worth 10 points, and then you also get 10 points for doing the vocab correctly. So the last chapter, how many sections were there? 5. So I did that one just out of 50 points. I didn't do the 10 points on there. So if you didn't do your outline, that's a 0 out of 50. Okay? Do your outlines. I'm giving you class time. Bring your books. Do what you need to. So tomorrow, make sure you bring your book with. Otherwise, you don't really have any assignment for class tomorrow because you'll have class time to work on it. Tomorrow at the end of class. So you'll have the whole class period tomorrow to work on it.
You're telling us don't bring your book.